judge and timekeeper for today. I'd like to welcome you to the College Fed Challenge 2011 and review the rules before we start. Those are long. You have 20 minutes for your presentation. Please watch me for time indicators. In 5 minutes, I will raise my hand and let you know when you have that's a 5-minute warning. 2 minutes when you have 2 minutes remaining, and I will call time when time is up. You must stop when time is called, whether or not you are finished. A 10-minute question and answer period will follow your presentation. Judges may either address questions to the team as a whole or ask a certain member who may have talked about a particular subject in the presentation. At 10 minutes, I will call time. If you are answering a question when time is called, you may finish your answer. If a judge is asking a question when time is called, the judge will finish the question and one person only will be allowed to answer. After the question and answer portion, your team will briefly leave the room while the judges confer about your presentation and answers. Once the judges have finished their deliberations, you will re-enter the room and the judges will provide the team with feedback. The team with the highest score out of the room will move to the finalist round this afternoon to compete against 3 other teams. Finalists will be announced during lunch. Today's overall winner will return on November 14th to compete with winning teams from the Baltimore and Charlotte offices for the district championship. The 5th district winner will then compete in the national competition held at the Federal Reserve Board of Governors in Washington, D.C. on November 29th. If you do not make it to the finals today, we will send out an email to your coach announcing the top team. Your final score sheet from this round will also be sent to your coach electronically following the competition. We appreciate your participation today, and we know that you've put in a lot of hard work getting prepared. On your way out of the room, I will hand you your certificates. You can wait in the auditorium or tour the Fed Challenge experience while you wait for lunch. Good luck. Time will start after introductions. Our other judges will begin introducing themselves. Then please introduce yourselves without mentioning your school. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Melanie Rose. I'm the Economic Education Manager here at the bank, and my team and I are responsible for the bank's economic and financial education programs for secondary and post-secondary students. Like this program and an afternoon at the Fed might also be familiar with that we do in collaboration with other departments like research and student regulation.
Hi, my name is Kartik Athaya. I'm an economist in the bank, and I'll be one of your judges. This being my
Start yourselves.
I'm Gretchen Hauser.
I'm Marissa Yoder.
I'm Brendan Odeker.
I'm Laura Monahan.
And I'm Blake Turner.
I'm Jonathan Blake. I'm the alternate.
Great. As soon as we get the time ready.
We're going to start.
So guys, this is our last Fed Challenge meeting. Let's finalize our presentation.
Yep, I'm glad everyone wore their business attire. It's important that we practice like we play, so let's just go ahead and get started.
All right, well, I think the first thing that we should definitely go over is real GDP. As we can see from this graph, it's been rising pretty steadily since 2001 up until 2008. It's obviously because of the recession which we have recently experienced. However, it should be noted that since 2009, we have seen a recovery.
Do you think that the tail end of this graph overstates recovery?
You know, I really don't think it does. If we can switch over to real GDP growth rate, which is estimated by this year over the previous year, we can see that we have seen growth to a point that is similar to pre-recession levels. However, it should be noted that, you know, we lost several years of growth due to this past recession.
While real GDP growth rate shows that overall our output is recovering, is there something more specific that we can look at to get a better idea?
I actually have non-farm business output, which is the largest specific sector in the U.S. economy. And this graph shows 2005 as a base year and all other years as a percentage of that. It shows an increase in productivity, which can mainly be traced back to employees having to pick up slack with previously laid off employees, the desire to keep jobs, and employers simply not wanting to hire new employees despite growing demand just because they don't want to take the time or the money to do so.
While real GDP growth and non-farm business output indicate recovery, I think there may be other economic indicators that tell a different story. I'm graduating in December, and I'm really wanting to find a job. The unemployment rate and the labor market, I believe, indicate a different story. There has been fluctuation over the past several years, and since the recession hit in 2007, at the end of 2007, it has nearly doubled and is hovering around 9%. Gretchen, what does the unemployment rate even mean for the whole economy, though?
Well, it indicates that people are looking for jobs and they can't find them due to limited employment opportunities, potential scarcity of skilled labor, and future cost pressures to employers. Economic impact reduces investment and spending, and we are just not at full potential.
Aren't there a lot of concerns about policies that are attempting to directly fix unemployment, that they may have inflationary consequences?
There is a debate over implementing policies that may lower the unemployment rate and that may cause higher inflation, making things more costly for those who are already employed. We have given the economy time to grow since 2008, and it's barely changed in the unemployment rate, and we're still around 9%. Since there is no indication of inflationary pressures, this gives us room to enact policy measures to help us lower this unemployment rate. Additionally, strong labor markets have people that are unemployed for short periods of time just because they're entering the labor market or they're looking for a job change. The recession has had major impacts on the labor market, resulting in increased long-term unemployment, and long-term unemployment has been around 40% since the beginning of 2010. There's a correlated trend between the unemployment rate and long-term unemployment. However, long-term unemployment has increased incrementally higher than the unemployment rate.
So what is this graph actually?
Well, the result of longer-term unemployment is from difficulties related to job seekers, potential employers, and the mechanisms that match supply and demand. Also, employers aren't willing to even interview those who are unemployed for long periods of time. And this could be because the employers have unrealistically high expectations for new employees, and also that workers are simply not being hired because there's not an opening in their field. The long spells of high unemployment can indicate that there is an output loss, but I believe the emphasis should be placed on significance of high unemployment rate. There may be implications that there is a change in the natural rate of unemployment.
You know, Gretchen, I really like those unemployment graphs, and I think something that would be really fun to put in our presentation would be just to go right back to non-farm business sector and see how their employment is doing. And I think if we go to that, we can see that they've also seen huge decreases in their employment rate since 2006. I mean, and it'd be really interesting to see if that sector can't restore back to the levels of employment pre-recession.
You know, an effect of high and stable unemployment is low and stable capacity utilization. This graph shows the low and stable capacity utilization, and it basically shows that there's slack in the economy.
Well, but Marissa, is capacity utilization just lowering off at a lower level?
You know, we won't know until the unemployment rate goes back down, but I think that it's low and stable because of the high and stable unemployment rate. Full capacity is actually 82%, and if it's above 82%, that leads to inflation, and it's actually at 82% because that's high enough for a firm to have low fixed costs, but low enough for the firm to have room to grow. However, we're only at around 76% right now, so there's no indication of inflationary pressures.
Marissa, we can't forget the importance of inflation when considering all these economic conditions. While it's a positive sign that capacity utilization is fairly low for inflation, we cannot neglect the fact that the price stability should be one of our main concerns.
Why is price stability so important when unemployment's been so high for so long?
Price stability in the market is arguably the most important factor when it comes to unemployment. If firms don't have faith that the market will be willing that the market won't rebound and stay stable, they're not willing to take on the risk to hire new employees and train them. As we all know, the dual mandate that is applied to the Fed is concerned with inflation and unemployment both. If we wanted to understand unemployment figures, I think it's crucial to examine what has happened with the changing price index. As we can see from this graph, the CPI that is included as percent change from year to year, which includes food and energy prices, which tend to be volatile, is exhibiting involatility in the market. As we can see in 2009, the deep dip that we experienced in consumer prices was a substantial loss for the market. It's important to see this because deflation is such a negative thing for the market. On the next slide, I wanted to examine core CPI, which removes the volatile prices of food and energy. As we can see from this, we still experience some sharp deflation between the recession, excluding food and energy prices. The Fed needs to try to keep inflation rates at about 2%.
You know, I hear you saying 2%. Why can't we lower it any further, perhaps like to 0%?
The Fed can't target 0% inflation because it would create a danger of us dipping below and experiencing deflation, which is extremely dangerous for the market. By keeping inflation predictable and manageable around 2%, we're allowing lenders who are concerned about inflation to ease their real loss in repayment and have faith in market operations. Deflation creates problems for borrowers who lose value in the amount of money that they have borrowed, making them unwilling to risk more borrowing. If there's a lack of confidence in inflation and price stability, and the market is jumping around in an unpredictable manner, everything else will be affected. There are some costs associated with inflation that are potentially very great, such as shoe leather costs, menu costs, and unit of account costs. These are all barriers to the market if inflation is unstable.